Matthew 17:20.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, Lord.
That's awesome, Brett. I love it. Yeah. Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for surely I say to you, you have faith of a mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing is impossible for you. So, you know, I think Jesus talks about the mountain as being a metaphor, but could that mountain move? Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind that because of Jesus, who he is and what he can do, that he could move that mountain. So, but as small as a mustard seed, that's pretty small. I mean, that's really small. So Jesus said, if we have even that little amount of faith, there is nothing we cannot do, but it's not us doing it. It's because of our faith through us. We believe that it can be done because of what Christ said, So I think here, I believe with every ounce of my being that, there is, whatever he wants to do, whatever he wants, I believe that anything can be done through believing in what Jesus said, So I think there is a lack of faith is simply not trusting God. I mean, that's faith is not trusting who God is and him not keeping his promises. I believe whatever God says will do and will not do will happen. I believe that. So I think it's something that we have to believe, that as believers, if we believe that, Jesus, I always go back to the scripture on the man bringing the boy to the disciples and saying, heal my son. And he couldn't heal him. And he took him back to Jesus and says, my son's sick. And I took him to your disciples and they couldn't heal him. And then, so he heals the boy. And then when the disciples come back to him and says, Lord, why couldn't we heal the boy? He goes, because of your unbelief. Not that they could do it, but it was their unbelief. So we have to have that faith of the mustard seed that whatever we believe in, that it will happen. We don't know when it will happen, I believe, but knowing that with God, all things can happen, So, but it says down here too, in the end of that, in verse 21, it says, however, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So we have to pray, we have to, fast, we have to believe. Believe is huge, and I believe also faith without works is dead. I mean, we don't, God tells us to do something and we don't go do it, and we don't believe that he's going to do it. And I've said this to people when, people say they're sick and, God's called us to lay hands on the sick and the sick shall be healed. Do we do that? Yes, we should do that. And knowing that God, at some point, if it's his will, that he'll heal them, so. And I believe it, that they will be healed at some point. In what manner, I don't know. In what effect and to what degree, I don't know. Only God does. But I believe that at some point they will get their healing. What healing it is, I'm not sure.
When you look at so when Jesus said, for truly I say to you, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. this is always going to be in a spiritual context, and it's always going to be in a biblical context. And I think this is one of the scriptures that's often misinterpreted. You know, people will apply carnal and fleshly things to this.
Yes.
Right. And you weren't going there at all. I really like the way you said, you know, if it's God's will, always if it's God's will, you know, and it's always going to be scriptural. It could be his will not to heal somebody.
Exactly.
I don't know why that is. There's a whole lot that I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, about the way God works. It could be his will not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always going to be in a spiritual context, and it's never going to be outside of the scripture. So if it's something that's from God, as far as our faith and the things that we're praying for, the moving of a mountain, it's always going to point. It should always point back to scripture in some way, not be something from my flesh, or I wanted a new truck and God moved a mountain for me and I got the new truck. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. In Matthew chapter 17, verse 20. Yes, it was seen because of your unbelief. Yes, for verily I said unto you, if your faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall move unto this mountain. Yes, one of the evangelist Rihad Bunki, yes, he explained on that passage in that mountain. That means the way he explained it is that how to say, a great enemies, our enemies, he said, and then our enemies, and then the way he explained is at that mountain. That means how to say, Satan.
Yep.
And then there's some difficulty, barriers, that kinds of thing are mountain. He explained in that way.
Yep.
And the mountain is just a metaphor. Yeah.
Spiritual barriers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a good way of putting it, Brother Thang. Yeah. I like that.
There was as far as the whole you just have to believe and just have faith. There was a pastor in a church in Africa. It was one of these Word of Faith churches. You can look this up. They drank poison and then said, well, God's going to protect us. And they died.
Like Jim Crow.
So just, it's obviously not God's will for us to drink poison to try to prove, as though God's some kind of genie or something.
Exactly.
And like Brother Thang was saying at the beginning, we have discernment to take care of our bodies.
But then they weren't having, that wasn't really true faith. That was the faith that they were trying to put onto God, like you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
They were putting
You
that
don't
on
see
God, saying, Lord, okay, I'm trusting you. I'm going to drink this and you'll save me. Yeah.
Let's put
Right.
God to the test.
Yeah. You're
right.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Yep. And Jesus said, you shall not do that. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. Yeah.